special call meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Waiting on the roll call.
Ms. Sharp,
Aye.
Ms. Kidd,
Aye.
Ms. Abbott,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley,
Aye.
Mr. Sexton, Mr. Silcox, Ms. Terry.
Okay, item 2B, retirement incentives. For the 2021-2022 academic year, the Scott County Schools would like to offer incentive packages to certified and non-certified staff who meet eligibility requirements for retirement. May I have a motion to approve the following incentives packages to certified and non-certified staff who meet eligibility requirements for retirement for the 2021-2022 school year. Number 1, 58 years of age and or 30 years of service with TCRS. Number 2, minimum of the last 10 years with the Scott County Schools. Number 3, notify central office by April the 14th of 2022. Certified employees, $15,000 one-time payout. Longevity insurance benefit. The board will continue to pay the local dollar percentage of health insurance coverage to cover 45% of the lowest cost single plan, excluding the plan in place to meet the Affordable Health Care Act until the employee/retiree reaches Medicare age or for a maximum of 7 years, whichever is less. This does not apply to any employee hired after July the 1st, 2015. And pay $80 for sick days accumulated through 2021-2022 school year. Non-certified employees, $6,000 one-time payout. Longevity insurance benefit. The board will continue to pay the local dollar percentage of health insurance coverage to cover 45% of the lowest cost single plan, excluding the plan in place to meet the Affordable Health Care Act until the employee/retiree reaches Medicare age or for a maximum of 7 years, whichever is less. This does not apply to any employee hired after July the 1st of 2015. Who made the motion?
Tommy.
Okay, and who's second?
Marlene.
Is there any discussion?
I have had some questions from a couple of folks. One was being folks that one person who's going to retire but doesn't have the age or the years yet and does have some health problems. And then another one was asked who has several health issues, if possibly some special arrangements could be made for that person. And I don't know, Mr. Hall, you know, I've been asked if it can go down, if we don't get 21 people, what are we going to do?
Well, I don't know what the number of the cutoff is as far as per se what we need, but I do know that, we don't have our first allotment yet for our budget, so we won't know exactly until how many or what we have to absorb until we get that. Secondly is, if you guys, I guess, could amend something, I guess, which would give me, along with working with you guys on this. I did speak to Mr. Beatty about this earlier too. When it comes to looking at something medically, where it could be done from a medical extension, which would give me the authority, I guess, to approve it on those grounds. If that will be the case, then I would want you guys also to be along when it's brought to me, also be a part of the decision making too. Because not saying you have to make that decision, but you need to be made aware of what and how. And I think there also needs to be some very specific speaking with Mr. Beatty on this earlier, talking about,
Objective standard.
yes,
Yes.
and there needs to be some criteria that's placed in there that needs to be about, you know, where the years are. If someone is, you know, give an example, if someone maybe be a couple years short, but under very medical conditions, you know, they can maybe do the insurance for X amount of years or until they may get disability. Those type of things. So, you know, we can always look, and I think it would be, number one, and I think you guys know me, I've always tried to look what's the best, number one for the person. But number two, always follow what the policy says. I think that's the thing, that there was some guidelines and stipulations in there to where long as we follow those and do it on an individual basis and know what this criteria is. If a person meets the criteria, then we could possibly do
Well,
something
I'm
next.
sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
What we talked about was some minimum standards. I don't
Yes.
mind, and I don't think the board would mind giving the director some discretion. You wouldn't want to set a policy that would give the director full discretion to look at it on a case-by-case basis and make that decision. I would recommend that the board set a minimum guideline that would establish, I guess, a point at which the director, whoever it is, could make that decision.
Well, and two, they've got till April the 14th, and we really need to meet right after this date, I think, to see what we have, and if we don't have, you know, where we're gonna go from there, if we don't have very many that takes it. So can we not discuss at that point?
I think you can set, I guess we're talking about something that maybe outside this
Yeah,
this specific policy
Mhm.
that would give him
Right.
discretion on health insurance.
yes.
Yeah.
Health insurance and the retirement benefits.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, if we do that, then we could also look at it when we meet again. Maybe meet to go over it and, you know, and look at the special cases.
I think we just need to look at the special cases in it. You know, I think, you know, once you give the time, they've looked at it, and I think once you get, I think if you lower the standards with it, I don't think that it kind of loses what it needs. I think we look at it from an individual basis of medically, like the things that you mentioned earlier. You know, first of all, guys, we want good people to stay with us. Whether they've got 50 years or 90 years or whatever, however long they've taught. We want to keep good people in the classroom, as long as they're effective and doing what they need to do. And we're never trying to push anybody out the door while doing this. We're offering a chance right now to where it can help somebody financially, and where if they are at that position. Now, also, we backdate the ones who have decided they are going to retire. They will receive these benefits also too. I think it needs to be, you know, very clear that they've already filed for their retirement. They will be getting this. Now, I know there's probably one on the list that may not meet all the criteria, or some of the criteria on this. And I think that'd be a case we would have to look at and kind of look and see for the reasonings and make the requirements of what's necessary, what's needed, and then give me the discretion at that point in time, bring it to you guys. And I'll tell you yay or nay, from that point.
And the way I looked at it is that this specific policy 2B actually sets forth some requirements for the retirement and the insurance benefits.
Mhm.
My understanding was that there might be some other questions about other people that might fall outside of that category.
And that category, yes.
That the school board might want to look at to give the director discretion.
Yes.
All
On
I'm
medical
saying-
exemptions and things
On
like that.
medical exemptions, all I'm saying is that I would set some minimum standard before the director has that authority, just to give guidance for everybody going forward.
I've also been asked if there's a possibility, if we maybe don't get enough that's 58 and older, if there's a chance the age may go down even lower.
Well, I mean, but the age, if they've got 30 years.
Well, age or
55,
years.
Yeah. You know, that's something I guess we could look at.
I'm just,
I mean,
I understand it,
yeah.
I just don't know now, because
Yeah.
I've only had 2 people that have spoke to me, well, other
Yeah.
than some medical issues, that has said anything about considering
Yeah.
it.
And it may not be, like I said, they may want to work. And
My understanding, and I don't want to interrupt, Is TCRS now requires 30 years of service? That is.
Ms. Amanda's been,
So I have emailed Mr. Justin Ball from the state, and he said that they are allowed to retire with 25 years, but it would be a reduced benefit. So it would just be up to, if you all decided to reduce it from 30 years to 25 years. So the employee needs to be aware of that if they did take it at 25 years.
well, you reduce people from what they get as far as their retirement.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I guess,
Is there any age limit on that?
He didn't say, he just said the employees would just need to be made aware that retiring before they reach a service retirement threshold, age 60 and vested, or 30 years of service at any age would incur a reduction of benefit.
I always thought it was 55 and 30. And that those were the minimums.
It's just years. Don't matter what age.
so would we be okay with adopting like it is and not meet back?
As long as,
And then-
as long as this is within the TCRS guidelines, yes. Now, what I told Bill, I'm sorry, Mr. Hall, was just make sure that those, like, within the first, have you already read this resolution?
Yes, I just read it, yes.
So, yeah, 1, 2, and 3 is it's 1 and 2 and 3. But there is, within 1, it's 58 and or 30 years of service. So, but all 3 of those would need to apply. Correct? Is that the intention?
Are you saying they have to have 58 and 30 and 10 years?
And 10 years of
Well,
service.
30
in the
would
school
be-
system.
Let's say if somebody's over 58, then they can have and or the 30. I think we have some that are over 60 that may have 10, 12 years of service, but they meet the age. They also meet the 10 years, the last 10 years. They don't have the 30 years. You see what I'm saying? They don't have the 30, but they meet the age and they meet the last 10 years.
Right, or they could be.
Because the 30 is and or. As long as they're at the age of 58.
So,
Knowing that they won't have, if you got, it's like 1.5% for every year you got towards your retirement. So if you ain't got the 30 years, you're not gonna have your maximum benefit at that time, what they would have.
okay.
See what I'm saying?
Just to clarify,
Yes.
so we have an employee that's 58 years and has 15 years of service.
Yes,
So this would apply?
it would apply as long as they've had their last 10 years in the Scott County school system.
Okay, so
That's why we got and or on that.
Okay, then
Okay.
after the semicolon, it needs to say or.
Yes,
It benefits many teachers that's gone back later in years.
yes,
Okay.
Got
I'm just trying to clarify the meaning of the resolution.
gotcha.
So let's put or after 1. And there still has to be a notification by April 14th.
Yes.
So that'll be and after 2. Okay.
So what are we doing, voting this through and then,
Go back and look, y'all at the next meeting, I guess that point in time, or if we have to do a special call meeting, and do any type of
adjustments?
adjustment to it, to give to me the authority at that time.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more discussion? If not, waiting on the roll call.
Mr. Silcox?
Aye.
Ms. Terry?
Aye.
Ms. Sharp?
Aye.
Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley? Mr. Sexton?
Okay, item 2C, accept gym floor plan. The board needs to approve the floor plan for the gym at Fairview Elementary School. May I have a motion to accept the floor plan for the Fairview Elementary Gym as designed by Upland Design?
Motion.
Second.
I'd like to mention, should we say which plan that was on this?
Yes. Mr. Hill's here if we have any questions for him.
Okay, which plan was that? Because I know we had about, 5 plans?
That's correct. There were 5. if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone might have. These are the same drawings that you all had handouts of at the last meeting. So there were 5 separate versions, and we would just need to know which one the board would like to proceed with.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Was Plan 3, which one was Plan 3?
Okay?
What was,
Plan 3 had a large storage room in between 2 dressing room areas. There were 2 dressing rooms, a large storage room, 2 dressing rooms. This is inset slightly to give a pocket for a presentation area. And then there was another storage area over here along with sprinkler room, mechanical room, electrical room, things like
I
that.
think when we discussed it with Mr. Cash, it was Plan 3 that everybody agreed on because of the storage. Even though that they was gonna have this offset, it wasn't gonna be beneficial to graduation because they still got the stage out there. So he was saying, you know, have a storage for the stage that they're using. So Plan 3 was the one that everybody, we looked at. Agreed on.
Mr. Joe, I asked a question. I mean, can you bid 2 separate projects, is that correct?
I can do 2 different options as far as looking at cost. I can do 2 different, I asked the contractor to price an A and a B. I can't really ask them to price more than that. It just gets too confusing for everyone trying to put bills and materials together and things like that.
Joe, right, to do that, just in case, I mean, or just go ahead with the one plan.
Sure, we got the option of doing
Yeah,
two.
the option
too,
same
cost, the same price.
We do. We would expect that there would be, I think we can see it from when you go by diesel. That's kind of a rough estimate of what's going on in construction pricing because not only equipment, fuel, but transportation costs and things like that.
And it's for school and construction, when they did it, they want to bid it more than they would if they was doing it for business.
Well, and it's,
That's just how it works.
if it's paid for with ESSER funds, there is,
Cost added to it.
that's right.
Yeah.
There's some additional overhead that goes along with that, certified payrolls and wage scales and things like that. So, if we did that, we could do something else as a cost reduction measure, either reduce the size, omit the plumbing, omit some of the plumbing. We've got some options on what we do on that second plan, if we're looking for something as a cost savings alternative. Going back to the discussion about the storage room here, is there a desire to have that inset? Would the board rather that just go on across? We had thought that was an area for a small stage curtain just to kind of draw people's attention to that area. But if you're going to be using a portable stage, another option would be to just bring that wall straight across, move the door out like so.
Where it's not a wasted space.
Well,
That should be cheaper, wouldn't it?
it's probably 6-1 of half dozen another. The advantage, one advantage there is it gives you a little bit more storage space and there's not a protruding corner. The drawback is, again, we were just trying to do something that would be visually indicative of this is the stage area, there's a space to put some spotlighting or something like that up above.
What's your preference, Mr. Cash?
I think that's mine anyway,
Anyway,
it's cheaper to go straight across than that.
Straight across is going to give you more storage space, so I would say straight across.
just not doing the stage at all.
If you note on what we're referred to as Plan 5, in the dressing rooms, we show just one individual toilet room with one lavatory and one water closet in each room. On Plan 3, there are multiple lavatories, multiple water closets, and a shower shown. As the cost savings option, would the board like to look at eliminating all the plumbing there or possibly doing what we were showing on Plan 5, where we're just doing one separate toilet compartment.
Do you think they need that many bathrooms in there?
Probably not. I mean,
I mean, they have a bathroom in there, do they need more?
I mean, we talked earlier, about the showers, just we can do it, we need to do it, but we can't, but there's one option, I don't know if it's option 5, but I wasn't against it, I just didn't like where everybody's gonna use the same restroom, both teams, and the door was gonna be out in the line's gonna be out in the court.
No, not on 5. On 5 was just dressing rooms only.
Yeah, and we'll see if they have to use the restroom, if they have to use the restroom. Yeah, this is gonna be outside, right?
No.
What's in there? Okay. So if we can take this out and make this,
What I would do is I'd just do this arrangement in the dressing room, where instead of this toilet area, I would just have one separate toilet compartment.
oh, yeah.
All you're doing is basically,
So can we do this, like this, but have the bathrooms like this?
That's what I'm saying, like one option.
That's similar to what it is now, in a way.
We can price both of those, if we get a bid on both of those.
I can do that.
Okay. And then we'll bid those two out, and then we'll see what we got from there, and we'll bring it forward to the board.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, ready for roll call.
Mr. Stanley? Ms. Sharp? Ms. Terry? Mr. Silcox? Ms. Kidd? Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Sexton? Aye.
Okay, that brings us to item 2D, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Waiting on the roll call.
Silcox? Ms. Kidd?
Aye.
Ms. Abbott?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley? Mr. Sexton? Ms. Terry? Ms. Sharp? Work session.
See ya.
Thank you, Alan.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. And we will be in touch. We'll be proceeding and be in touch with updates.
Okay, that brings us to our work session. First, we'll go to Ms. Stanley.
Hello. I don't have anything for the board. We've had a lot of training and meetings going on this month with TCAP and MAP and Elgin and MOU committee meetings. Our building level personnel have taken the online TCAP security training, so they're ready to go. And like everyone else, we're working hard. Our teachers are working hard to get in these last days before testing. A reminder to parents that we will start testing on Monday, April the 18th. We need those students to be present every day and to be on time, because they'll have to wait in the cafeteria to go into their classrooms until after the testing for that day is completed. Everybody, I think, is looking forward to spring break and having a breather before we hit the test. Otherwise, one good note, we did have Beta Club initiation this month, and I want to congratulate those new members to the Beta Club. And that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Okay, thank you. How about Ms. Rector?
Hello, everybody. Just want to give everybody a quick update on our ongoing museum projects. The maintenance and cleanup is ongoing. I've got a lot of work there, and thank goodness we've been blessed with some nice spring weather, and so that's helping things to move along pretty quickly. We've received some good assistance and information this week on some of those major log repairs that are going to need to be done. That took some work from several people reaching out different places, but we were able to get some good assistance with that. Hopefully that process will begin very soon. And again, that's one of the more major projects, but very thankful for that. I'll give you more details on that as that moves along. We are going to need to extend the weekend party cancellations for some additional time just to continue the progress inside and outside of the Learning Lodge. We will be contacting anyone that has been affected. So we'll be reaching out to those people individually as we move through, but again, trying to keep that progress going. I know that there had been some questions brought to Mr. Patton regarding a set of bylaws that were enacted in 2001 when the original museum was established. We do have copies of those and we have reviewed those. That is something that we've always had. I have touched base with Mr. Beatty on those just briefly, and we reviewed some of those components that are still in practice. And then there are several components of those, again, remember those were enacted in 2001 that haven't been in practice for many, many years and that have been replaced by other processes and procedures. So as you can imagine, as the project has expanded over 20 years and natural adjustments have occurred, that those procedures that were maybe put in place when there was one building and things wasn't necessarily the same process or procedures that were used when we have the entire campus that we do now. But we've got a good set of checks and balances in place for those things, and we are working to formally adopt those processes and procedures and address some of the new considerations. For example, we know that the Dawson family had some very specific wishes for the USS Tennessee building, and we want to make sure that those are memorialized and included in a new set of bylaws. So we've met with a current group of teachers that are involved with the museum that have been part of the previous advisory groups, and we're working on that rewrite now. So as that progresses, I will continue to keep the board informed as we move forward with that. But since we had already presented some information and details about repair and maintenance to the board, we didn't want to delay that and that progress any further since that had been communicated previously, and simply just work on this bylaw rewrite at the same time as we're in the maintenance phase. But we'll have that completed before we go beyond the maintenance phase. But I just wanted to take a minute and give everybody an update of where we were at with that project and give you a chance to ask any questions if you had those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How about Miss Amy Jeffers with Robbins? Is she on?
No. No.
I'm not hearing anything. Is she with us?
No.
Miss Esther, can you hear us?
Oh, I do now.
She is not with us, Miss Esther.
Oh, okay, thank you. How about Miss Goodman with Huntsville Middle?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have nothing for the agenda. I'm going to repeat the exact same stuff that Sharon said. Everybody is getting ready for TCAP and getting all their trainings. We did our Beta Club initiation. I'm like her. We want to congratulate all those students who work really, really hard to get there. We are looking forward to spring break and then coming back and continuing that review process that takes place, getting everybody ready for TCAP. So we just want to keep reminding the parents and every one of those dates. It starts on the 18th, and basically those 2 weeks right there in April, the end of April, we need everybody at school on time, ready to go. So other than that, that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Okay, thank you. About Miss Hamilton with the Huntsville Elementary.
She is not online.
Okay. Mr. Cash, I saw you there.
I don't have anything for the agenda. Echo what Ms. Stanley and Ms. Donna said. Just getting ready for spring break. We had our last regular season soccer game today. And just everything testing. So we're hoping maybe the test will arrive before spring break. So we have them here, so we're not rushing to get everything ready when we get back. But just parents, just testing starts at 18, make sure they're there and they're on time. And just looking forward to getting that process started. And that's all I have on everything.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Shannon.
Yes. Wanted to start off by just thanking the CTE teachers that we have, that we get to work with. We've got a great staff of CTE teachers. They do a great job. So I wanted to make sure and appreciate them. Also, the maintenance crew that we work with, got a very, very highly skilled group of people that does great work for our school system. The things that they can do amazes me all the time. So wanted to take a moment to thank them. For CTE, there are several items that I have for the agenda. The first of which, I don't know why I took my glasses off. I'm going to need those. Apologize. Budget revision number 2, as an agenda item, I will be giving you a copy of that very, very quickly. I wanted to make sure and get it back from our CTE core consultant for her approval before I'd send it forward. Then there is 3 different bids that I'm asking to be accepted. I've already emailed you some of the details on those. The first of which is a simulation mannequin from Learning Labs. The next one being 3 welders from A Welders, and then a CNC plasma table from A Welders, which meets all specs for the bid. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay. From the maintenance, the guys are just staying busy, getting a lot of projects accomplished, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if you've got them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Linda.
Hey, I do have an item for the agenda. I need to put on there that pre-K 6 permission to go see a live production at the Center for Rural Development in Somerset, Kentucky. That's one thing we want to expose our children to every year, at least see a play. And sometimes it's hard to find one that's appropriate for them. So I would like to ask permission for that. As everybody said, the last few weeks have been testing, galore, training, solving problems, and I have been trying to find out if we could just get our test delivered. The TCAP K8 or 2 through 8 will get paper tests, and we will have all these boxes delivered to us. I think about 120 or something like that. And then the high school, of course, theirs is online. But we do need ours before spring break, because if we don't, we're going to be coming back after spring break with 1 week to get them counted and delivered and everything ready to go. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to find out exactly when that is and make sure they understand that spring break is coming up next week. We do not want them delivered then. So we'll see how that comes out. Also, I did find out today that we are going to be able to have the site for the early reading training, pre-K 5, the week of June the 12th. And that will be for those teachers who seek to get that at least 1 week of that training to renew their license by 2023. So they will do 1 week virtual, 1 week in person. They will get that $1,000 stipend. And we did have quite a few that have already done that. They did that last year. That is the same training, but it is another opportunity for those pre-K 5 teachers. We're also going to be able to host the secondary literacy training for grades 5 through 12. And that's the week of June 19th. And
This will be, again, the first week will be virtual whenever they choose to do it, and then the second week will have to be in person, and that will be the week of June 19th. So that's coming up, and again, we'll have 2 weeks. I will get a notification Friday of the process, getting that out to teachers. I did send out an email today. So we'll have 2 weeks to get our list together. One of those weeks will be on spring break. So going to have to be able to be sure and get that information out quickly so we can get our numbers. We do have to have 25 in order to host that here. One other thing to mention is pre-K openings. We do have additional pre-K openings in all of our pre-K centers, except I think Fairview. They must be 4 on or by August the 15th. We possibly can take some 3-year-olds. There are 3 on or by August the 15th, but we do have to prioritize. We have to take the 4s first. We can put the 3s on a waiting list until we can see if we're going to have space for those kids. So we need to make sure that we continually put that message out. I did get an email today that said our finding out about our grant has been delayed a little while because the legislature, there's some bills in the legislature that want to increase the number of students that we can take. So hopefully we'll find out about that soon for next year. And that's everything I have, unless you have questions. We did get our banner, didn't we, Mr. Hall? That reading success banner. It's just big.
We have
to figure out where
Coach Anna to get a group to come. Let's do that, so.
And that's everything I have.
Okay, thank you, Miss Linda. Miss Debbie with special ed.
Okay. Everybody's been talking about TCAP. For my students in CDC classroom, the MSAA and ALT has opened. It opened March 14th and goes to April 29th. So some of our students are already taking their ALT. They have a longer period of time. We did have a file folder review that opened up March the 7th. It ended March 14th, so we've already got all that submitted. So now we're just waiting on results. The CFA opened up our consolidated funding application. I think it was March the 1st. We have to have that in May the 1st. So working a little bit here and there on the special ed budget. And then I do have something for the agenda. For my GP budget, I just need to move some money around to a different category, and Miss Amanda's going to include that, I think, in her amendment. And then also with my ARP grant, that's a federal grant, I just need to move some money around in that to some different categories so that we can have some money to spend on those contracted services. And that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Bond, do you have anything?
I don't have anything for the agenda. Just wanted to let y'all know that we should have Birchfield finished with the active panels this week. And we'll be getting the rest of the schools when we get back. It's going pretty well. You got some people that are really kind of scared of it. You know, it's change, but so far everybody's really liked it and got on board quickly with it. So it's quite an interesting thing to see if you go to a classroom or something and watch them use one of those. So it's working out really well. That's all I have.
Okay. What about Miss Paulette with food service?
Yes, I'm here. I do have something for the agenda. I would like to ask the board to have finance to bid some convection ovens and also some hydrovection ovens for the Winfield cafeteria. We've just about spent more than what those that's there is worth, and they need some new ones. They've been there since the school was built. And so I'd like to be able to get that in progress so we can have those going into the next school year. But other than that, that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Miss Amanda Stevens.
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 items for the agenda. The first one's GP Amendment number 8. I'm going through line by line, adjusting, wrapping up the fiscal year, making sure everything's got money in each line item. I'll include Miss Debbie's on that. And then the next item for the agenda is Federal Amendment number 9. I've got to move some things entitled all I have unless y'all have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, have I overlooked anybody? Mr. Hall, you'll be next.
Did Miss Tanya and Miss Lisa get to go?
Lisa joined and.
Lisa joined? Okay. Is Lisa Hamilton?
I'm here. Yes,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
here. That's okay. I was late and I apologize for that.
We'll let you go next.
All right. We're just doing some activities like everyone else, getting ready for testing and our wonderful spring break coming up. Friday, we will have our Donuts with Dad, Muffins for Mom, and we're hoping everyone will come out and join us. And it's running from 7:25 until 8 o'clock. So we're going to, fire department's coming over to help with our SRO, to help with all of our traffic and get us parked and in. Hopefully we'll have a wonderful day with that. I don't have anything for agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hall, you'll be next.
Yep, Ms. Hamilton, we also have Ms. Maria Bruce, our Aware Grants Director. She needs to give a little thing of her program and also what to bring up for the agenda tonight too, so. Ms. Maria.
I know.
All right, so I will briefly go over my program. So you'll know what I'm talking about. My program's new, so a lot of you may not know a lot about the program. So Aware Director position is behavior, mental health, and counseling services. So anything that's encompassing the mental health sphere is kind of my department now. So we've hired staff underneath me and included the counseling services departments for the middle schools, because a lot of what we're doing now is case management. So you're looking at, this program is set up a lot like SPED. So in the education sphere for SPED, you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 special education. Mental health is now set up the exact same way for the school system. Now we have tier 1 that would give lessons, programs to all children in the school system. Tier 2 would be a little bit more intensive, counseling services, children that need some help. Tier 3 would be more mental health based case management. And what that includes and does not limit is if, say, a parent is having a hard time reading the application for TennCare, we will help you do that. If a parent needs help finding facilities for rehab, we will help you do that. We have already started this process. Now, just like SPED, you must sign up for tier 3 or higher. So you must ask for these services. We don't come in, you ask us. So if you want a child that, for example, we've had some that have went several years not being able to get a psychological because of insurance. In 2 weeks, we got the child insurance. This is what this is for. It's all about whether we help a parent in rehab or a child with insurance. It's all about the child. The bottom line is if they can get help at home, they can be here academically, which will improve their grades and things like that. So the chart that you have, the state has been very giving with allowing me to develop this for our system. They kind of give me a little bit of a backbone structure, but said, here's some money, go at it. So I have, and this leads into what I'm fixing to ask for, I have brought to the state's attention that we really truly need an alternative learning center. Because right now, 7 that are going from school to school to school. If we had an alternative learning center, it would help those children get intensive services, whether it be outside mental health, whether it be helping them sign up for fall housing authority, clothing, food, help them find all the services. Teach the family how to do it themselves moving forward. And in the end, when their grades recoup and their behaviors are better, we send them back to the regular schools. And in the end, you're also saving some of these children that are going homebound, homeschool, virtual, from staying in our system, because we're giving extreme accommodations to get them where they need to be. So we're keeping our children a little bit longer, because once they go homeschool, they don't get the social interaction. They don't get the quality education they could have gotten. And they no longer become a productive member of society. That's what we want to do. Because a lot of these children, when they get all that back, they can. They just need extra help. So, what I'm asking for, there will be several tours. I can't do this alone. I need help from Metro Nashville, Putnam, Mobile, Alabama, to help me find a proper structure for an alternative learning center. I've already spoken to all three, and Putnam has opened arms and said, come on, we'll show you how we've done it. The reason I'm asking for Mobile, Alabama is they have a very specialized curriculum just for children with alternative learning centers. And they're willing to show us how they got the federal and state funding to pay for it. Their school system doesn't pay for it. So I want to go there and check out their curriculum and see if we can duplicate and get the funding that they got to pay for the curriculum. And Metro and Putnam to steal their operations manual so we can not reinvent the wheel, but kind of mimic it and go from there. Now, my program won't pay for all this by itself. I'm going to have to find other grants, federal grants, to pay for this. And I'm already working on it. Be patient with me. It will take time. But I'm hoping my department will house about a third of the cost with my grant. I just need to find another grant or two to pay for teachers for the classes and another for curriculum and things like that. So for my part of putting on the budget, I am asking for tours, and I'm wanting to go out of state just to look at curriculum. But my goal is to bring more money back in. That's all I have. And it will be paid for federally. It will not come out of the BEP. So my budget will pay for all the tours.
And I know the out of state, you're afraid to make. And that's fine as long as it's not online, Maria.
Yeah.
I just can't pay for out of state things if it's online.
Yeah.
And you get it that way.
Is it just you going?
Well, actually, my department will pay for, I've asked for Director Hall, since he makes the final decision. CTE, because alternative learning is really heavily CTE based. And I've asked for, I need to open a fourth position, because depending on where we go, it maybe need to be finance, it may need to be special education, it may need to be the principal that's going to house. So probably 4 of us, and my budget will pay for that.
Okay. I started saying you could go with them.
Yeah.
I'm more than welcome to.
When I first read her plan, I thought, man, we got a building right over here. When I first read her, yeah. The old cancer center.
Are you more than welcome to come with me?
Yeah, it's gone now.
It sounds like a good
It sounds wonderful.
If I can get the funding.
Yeah.
And
It'll take some time.
it's time. It's gonna be time.
And a lot of work.
We'll do what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say when I was at some of the biggest problems or biggest situations I dealt with in the schools, dealt with mental health. And, I think being able to maybe catch that before those situations arise and help make it better or prevent it would be great, so.
We appreciate you taking the time just to really fill us in.
Yes. And we appreciate all the work you're doing.
Well, I hope I can provide something of good quality when it's done.
Any other comments? Okay, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you. First of all, for the agenda, item A would be going over the director's evaluation. And then on item B, we have the following overnight out-of-state trips. CTE director, spring CTE meeting April 19th through 23rd, Nashville, Tennessee. The July CTE Summer Institute, July 17th to the 20th. Both those trips are in Nashville, Tennessee. And as Ms. Maria mentioned earlier, the tour of the alternative learning centers. Also, the pre-K Center for Rural Development, April 14th, 2022 in Somerset, Kentucky. We'd also like to grant tenure to Ms. Brittany Young, Fairview Elementary School. Want to approve the TSBA membership dues, $5,547, and also the annual online policy maintenance agreement for $3,500. Also, we have to approve the following school board board policies. Second reading of board policy number 6.206, transfers within the system. And the first reading of policy 1.102, board members' legal status. That's all for the agenda items. To kind of follow up with the principals, spring break next week. First thing to do, we hope everyone has an enjoyable, healthy, and safe spring break. Please enjoy because it is well needed and well deserved at this time. But come back ready to go. As we return, we will start with our TCAP testing, the grades C through 8. And also, in a few weeks from there, we'll start with the end of course exams with the high school. So as we return, it will be a busy month of April and May. As we get into May, of course, Scott High School graduation starts off the graduation season, as I like to call it, on May 14th. Guys, I'd like to ask you to be in prayer for the Granger County schools. I think on Sunday, this past Sunday, they tragically lost their director of schools. Don't know, the cause of anything yet. He did pass away on Sunday. His name was Dr. James Atkins. This was his second year in the position. He replaced Mr. Edwin Jarnigan, who's a fine director for Granger County. And Ms. Abbott probably knows Mr. Atkins from our meetings with the Clinch Powell. Mr. Atkins is a wonderful man, so ask if you please keep the Granger County school system in your prayers. And guys, that's all I have at this time, unless y'all have questions for me.
I'd like to go back to the bylaws that they're writing the new ones for the museum. Is that something that will come back to us to
Absolutely.
approve
Yes.
then?
Yes, be brought to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, because those came, from the members, Ms. Abbott, most of us were on that board, so all of us had those.
I mean, she's been going everything with Mr. Beatty's and.
Well, we talked about it. I suspect that Melissa's probably looked at it more carefully than I have. We both acknowledge that a lot of things have changed since they were first adopted, and they just need to be updated to reflect what's going on.
What's going on there now? Yes.
And, excuse me, we did have a board, that was the museum board. And that's where a lot of that came from. There was 10 or 12 people we met periodically.
Well, keep in mind that at that time, there were just a few things that were donated.
Oh, I remember.
And now it's been thousands of things that have been donated that now you're the
I think we
curator of.
quit meeting about 3 years ago.
And probably a little longer than that, actually, I don't know, honestly.
Whenever the students started doing the festival, that's when Mr. Sexton said, well, we really don't have to meet because we used to all work the festival.
Well, we've had the festival for about 10, 11 years, I'm guessing. Longer than that, 15, I don't know. So it's been a long time.
And since there's new bylaws and new things being done, I'd like to see a financial report every now and then of what's going on, as far as the money-wise part of it. I mean, that's quite a bit of money, and I'd just like to see the board be able to keep up with that also.
That is kept in Ms. Carson at the high school. There's an account set up here also too, that's with the finance that they also have too. So I can tell you the dollar amount right now, exactly what's in it.
I'll come in there. That's something we can certainly do. And that's something we can certainly consider in those new bylaws, is coming up with a procedure for that, Miss Terry. And Ms. Sharp, you're right, that advisory council is the group that you're talking about. And that was in place. Again, there's some procedures there about nominating and people every so many years. And again, that was something that just got moved away from. But we're not looking at getting rid of all of those things. We're just, just need to reframe those in the way that fits the current project now. But the financials and those types of things, we can certainly look at that and put some procedures in there. For that, if that's something that you all would like to see on, say, a monthly basis or something like that, especially now with there being an additional account there at the finance department, how that needs to work. Those are all details that we'll need to work through. But just keep in mind those that museum account is here at Scott High, and it is part of our annual accounting that goes through audit. And so that is always audited every year, along with all of those other school accounts that's there. And I'll be honest, it probably, because I'll be honest, it's the largest single account that we have. It probably has more scrutiny on it than anything else. And so even though in the bylaws, it doesn't require that account to have to go through all of the procedures that the regular school accounts do, we still require that. So actually, as a school, we require a little more scrutiny than even the bylaws do. So those are suggestions like that. If you all have things like that that you would like us to consider, by all means, just shoot that to me in an email, and that'll certainly be something that I can bring to that group that's helping to rewrite that. But that's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Silcox, did you have anything?
I'd just like to thank Miss Amanda for all the extra work that she's had to do on this incentive plan, and all the help, every way that helped you do it. Good thought. Yes, and thank everyone who constructed the policy. Thank you very much for that.
Mr. Beatty, did you have anything to add?
I do not.
Nor do I.
No.
Mr. Lou and Derek?
Oh, man.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I wasn't there. Ekman's got pneumonia, so I'm babysitting him. So just keep us in your prayers. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Esther.